A playdate with a mermaid. Every summer, families from near and far would flock to Seashell Beach, with its golden sands and clear blue waters. Among the regular visitors were siblings, Jamie and Clara, who looked forward to building sandcastles, collecting shells, and swimming in the refreshing waters. One afternoon, as Clara tried to catch tiny fish in her net, she spotted a shiny object glimmering between two rocks. Curious, she retrieved a beautifully ornate comb, embedded with pearls and shimmering scales. Suddenly, the waters nearby bubbled, and from the depths emerged a young mermaid with flowing auburn hair and a tail that sparkled under the sun. She introduced herself as Marina. "That's my comb," she exclaimed, her eyes widening joyfully. "I lost it while playing with the dolphins yesterday." Clara handed it back, and Marina gratefully accepted. "How can I thank you?" she asked. "How about a playdate?" Clara proposed excitedly. "I've never met a real mermaid before." And so, with Jamie in tow, the two of them embarked on an underwater adventure. Marina showed them her secret hideaways, where bright-colored fish danced and coral reefs sang. They played hide and seek among the seaweeds and raced with seahorses. The highlight was when they reached the heart of the ocean, a magical spot where the water was a radiant shade of pink and blue, and the marine life seemed to glow. Marina then shared some of her secrets. "Did you know," she began, "that we mermaids can grant a single wish?" Jamie and Clara exchanged glances. They had so many wishes. But after a brief discussion, they decided on one. "We wish," began Jamie, "that Seashell Beach remains as beautiful and pristine forever, and no harm ever comes to it." Marina smiled, her eyes sparkling with pride. "A selfless wish," she remarked. She sealed their wish with a wave of her comb, and the waters around them shimmered with magic. The day ended with a grand feast. Marina's mermaid friends joined in, and they had a spread of the most delicious seaweed pies, plankton pastries, and jellyfish jellies. They danced and sang, and as the sun began to set, it was time to say goodbye. The siblings returned to the shore, their hearts full of memories and stories they'd cherish forever. They knew that the beach was now protected, and every time they visited, they'd be reminded of their magical playdate with Marina. Years later, when high-rises threatened to encroach upon Seashell Beach, miraculously, every attempt failed. Machines would break down, plans would go missing, and builders would inexplicably change their minds. The beach remained untouched, just as beautiful and vibrant as the siblings remembered. And if one listened closely, the faint, melodious songs of mermaids could be heard, a testament to the magic that still lingered. Each summer, Jamie and Clara would return with their children and then their grandchildren, and while they never saw Marina again, they knew she was there, watching over her ocean home and the two human friends who'd wished for its protection. Hide and seek in a haunted house. A group of 5 friends decided to have an adventurous evening. After hours of debating, they decided on a thrilling game of hide and seek in the abandoned mansion at the edge of their town. Rumors said it was haunted, but the fearless group wasn't deterred. The group gathered outside the house as the sun began to set, casting long, haunting shadows. The huge wooden door creaked open, revealing a world that time seemed to have forgotten. Dusty furniture, cobwebs, and broken chandeliers set the scene. "I'll be the seeker," volunteered Alex, the bravest of the group. The rest were happy to let him take the role, secretly relieved they wouldn't have to wander the house alone first. The game began. Alex started counting at the front door, while the others dashed to find hiding spots. The air was thick with tension, excitement, and a touch of fear. Cassie found an old wooden wardrobe and squeezed inside, trying to silence her breathing. Mark stumbled upon a hollow space behind a staircase. Sophie hid under a grand table with a thick, dusty tablecloth, and Lucas climbed up to a small attic space. Minutes felt like hours. Cassie heard footsteps, a door creaking, and then silence. She held her breath. Suddenly, a whisper floated through the air. "Cassie." It hissed. It didn't sound like Alex. Her heart raced. She hesitated, then slowly opened the wardrobe door. To her surprise, no one was there. Meanwhile, in the attic, Lucas heard soft giggles. They seemed to be coming from the shadows. He felt a cold breeze as he tried to locate the source, even though all windows were shut. Hiding under the table, Sophie noticed the chandelier swaying gently above her. Puzzled, she peeked out, only to spot a fleeting shadow at the corner of her eye. Was it Alex? Or someone else? Mark, behind the staircase, was confident about his hiding spot. But then, he felt something tap his shoulder. He whirled around, but again, there was no one. An hour passed. The friends realized something was amiss. Why hadn't Alex found anyone yet? Gathering their courage, they decided to search for him together. They roamed the house, calling out, "Alex! Alex!" No response. Then, they heard a faint, almost melancholic tune being played on a piano. Following the sound, they reached the grand ballroom. There sat Alex, playing the piano, seemingly in a trance. The friends approached him cautiously, and when Sophie touched his shoulder, Alex snapped out of it. He looked around, confused. "How did I get here?" he murmured. The group didn't have an answer. What they did know was that the mansion was no ordinary place. With newfound respect for the house and its mysteries, they decided it was time to leave. As they exited, a gust of wind blew, and the front door slammed shut behind them. In the silence of the night, they could hear soft laughter echoing from the house. The friends never spoke of that evening again. But the house? It stood there, as always, waiting for the next adventurous soul to play a game of hide and seek. The day I became my cat. It all started on a gloomy Saturday morning. The sky was gray, and a light rain tapped against the windows. Yawning and stretching, I rolled out of bed and stumbled into the kitchen, hoping to brew a strong cup of coffee to wake up. But as my feet touched the cold floor, something felt off. Looking down, instead of my usual pajamas, I saw soft, black and white fur covering my body. 4 furry legs, a long tail swishing behind me, and the sudden urge to jump onto the countertop. Shocked, I raced to the nearest mirror. Staring back at me was the face of my cat, Whiskers. "How on earth?" I murmured, but it came out as a soft meow. I tried to recall the previous night. Had I encountered a mysterious figure? Made a peculiar wish? But nothing out of the ordinary came to mind. Exploring the house on 4 legs was an entirely new experience. Everything seemed gigantic. The softness of the carpet felt amplified, and the scent of food from the kitchen was overwhelmingly tempting. I could hear distant sounds much more clearly, like birds chirping outside and even a mouse's scuttling in the walls. Curiosity got the better of me, and I jumped up onto the windowsill to watch the world outside. Birds, bugs, and the occasional squirrel darting by were fascinating. Every little movement caught my attention. However, as the hours passed, challenges arose. Opening doors was impossible. The refrigerator was a fortress I couldn't breach. Even getting a drink of water turned into a slapstick comedy as I tried to learn the fine art of drinking from a bowl. Meanwhile, I noticed Whiskers, or rather my human self, moving about the house, appearing equally confused. My cat in a human body clumsily tried to pour cat food, accidentally dropping the bag and spilling it everywhere. He seemed to avoid mirrors, perhaps unprepared to confront the bizarre reality. As evening approached, I began to feel a bit lonely. Though filled with wonders, the world of a cat was also isolating. I missed human conversations, laughter, and the myriad of emotions we experience daily. Lying on my favorite couch, memories of my life as a human flooded in, the joy of birthdays, the warmth of a hug, and the simple pleasure of sipping hot chocolate on a cold day. As I drifted into a deep sleep, I wished with all my heart to return to being myself. When morning light filtered through the curtains, I felt the familiar weight of a blanket and the softness of my bed beneath me. Sitting up, I found myself back in my human body. Elated, I jumped out of bed and was immediately greeted by Whiskers, who purred and nuzzled against my leg, as if acknowledging our shared adventure. From that day on, my bond with Whiskers grew stronger. I found a new appreciation for his world and often wondered if he remembered our role reversal. Whether he did or not, one thing was sure: walking in someone else's paws, even just for a day, can indeed be an eye-opening experience.